Let's take a look at what we just did with this addition of whole numbers, and let's take a look at this. What if we have 5 minus a positive 2? Let's think about what that really means. This means, okay, if I have 5 things, whatever they are, so if I have 5 things, I'll draw these 5 symbols. I'm going to take away 2 of them. So my answer is 3. So now my question is, why do we have that silly sign there? I mean, isn't 5 minus 2 3? And isn't another way to write a positive 2 just a regular 2? So the 5 would be there, the negative would be there, or the minus. And isn't that 2 the same as that 2? So why do we have this silly sign thing going on? That's what we're going to talk about today. No more signs. This is a sign. I'm going to say that a lot today. Sign, and I'm really not stumbling over my words. I'm just trying to make you understand that when we have a sign followed by a sign, we're going to get rid of one of the signs, and we're going to show you how to do that today. So 5 minus a positive 2 is the same thing as 5 minus 2. No more signs. I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so let's take a look at this next example. And first of all, I want to tell you when I'm going to start saying combining numbers. When I say combining actually means adding or subtracting. What's going to be a little different from this situation and what you've experienced before is usually when you see a plus sign, you used to add. And when you see a minus sign, you used to subtract. Now you may not be doing that. It's going to depend on the sign of the actual numbers. Okay? But we're going to write all signs with one sign. Okay? All right. Let's take a look. Here we go. All right, let's look at negative 5 minus 4. Okay, I'm going to show you how to think of this. Don't think of this as negative 5 minus 4. Think of this as I have a negative 5 and I have a negative 4. So think again to money. So this is I owe you 5 and I owe you 4. So again, we're always going to take the sign with the number. I owe 5, I owe 4, so I owe 9. Okay, and notice there's no sign here, because I know this sounds stupid, but this is sign, number, sign, number. I never said sign. So this is an easy problem. Just take the sign with the number. I owe you $5, I owe you $4, so I owe you $9. That's all you do. Okay, what about this? In fact, let me erase that so you don't confuse it. 10 minus 50. This is I have 10 and I owe you 50. So don't think, oh, I have subtraction here. Subtraction and negative is the exact same thing. So I have 10, I owe you 50. If I have $10 but I owe you $50, that means I owe you $40. Okay? So it's really very simple. Just make sure you're taking the sign with the number. Okay, let's teach you how to eliminate the signs. Here's a sign, 5 minus a minus 2. Now, here's what you have to learn about this sign. In front of every parentheses, there's a number, even if you don't see one. The number that's there is a negative. So actually what's going on here is what I'm actually doing is I'm going to do this multiplication step. I'm going to go a negative times a negative. And how do I know this is attached by multiplication? Because there's no sign between this 1 and this parentheses. So it's a negative times a negative, which is going to be a positive 2. So this started as 5 minus a minus 2. 5 minus a minus 2 is the same thing as 5 plus 2, which is 7. Don't worry, we'll do more. Okay, let's try another one. Negative 8 minus a positive 6. Again, sign. We don't want that sign. Again, there's a negative 1 here, and I'm going to show you don't have to do this negative 1 all the time in a minute. Okay, so we have negative 8. And now we have a negative times a positive. The signs are different, so that becomes a negative. Okay? Minus 6. This is not attached to the 6 by multiplication because there is a sign between them. So now I have I owe you 8 and I owe you 6, so I owe you 14. Let me rewrite this without the 1 there, just so I can show you something. So when you have a sign, if the signs are the same, those two signs are going to change to a plus. Because when your signs are the same in multiplication, you get a plus. If you have a sign and the signs are different, that sign is going to change to a minus. Because when you have different signs, you get a minus. That's really all there is to it. So let's try another one. Okay, 3 minus a minus 5. Okay, and 3 minus a minus 5, Let me use the black pen for this. All right, again, sine, sine. We don't want the sine, sine. No more sine, sines, not ever. No more. No sine, sines. Okay, so the signs are the same. So we're going to, they both change into one sign, one positive. Because a negative times a negative is a positive. And then here comes this 5. That's just 3 plus 5, or 8. So any double signs will all now change to one sign. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay, negative 8 plus a negative 3. Negative 8 plus a negative 3. Look, we have a sine, sine right here. Two signs, sine, sine. They're going to change to one sign. Well, the signs are different, so it's going to change to a negative. Now we're going to take the sign with the number. I owe you $8. I owe you $3. So I owe you $11. Sine, signs. Eliminate all the signs. Important. Negative 8 plus a positive 3. Okay, again, sine, sine. Signs are the same, changes to a plus. That's plus 3. And you see all these on the slides that are next to you. Okay, I owe you 8. I have 3. I owe you 5. All right, so here's what I know. If you have a sign followed by a sign and they're different, changes into one sign that's negative. Signs that are the same changes into a plus, because we're really doing multiplication. Why are we doing multiplication? There's actually a 1 there we don't see. So it's really very simple. You don't need to write the 1 as long as you understand the process. Let's look at, let's start here and look at these two together. 8 minus a minus 12. You need to see the difference to make sure you understand this. And 8 times negative 12. Okay, we have to know if these are the same or different. Okay, notice here this negative is outside the parentheses. So this is not attached to this by multiplication. This is actually attached here by this subtraction or negative sign. Doesn't matter, but it's not multiplication. This is attached by multiplication because there's no sign in between this and the parentheses. But there is a sign here between the number and the parentheses. So to this problem, the two signs changes to 1. So we get 8 plus 12. And the reason it's a positive is because the signs are the same. And 8 plus 12 is 20. Here, this is just multiplication. Remember, multiplication, we're not thinking money. We're looking at the signs. If the signs are different, then the answer is negative. 8 times 12 is 96. So that is negative 96. Okay, you try a couple. Okay, let's see how you did. Okay, there's no sine, sine here, because that's sine, number, sine, number. I'm sounding a little ridiculous, ain't I? But that's okay. All right, so this is I owe you 3, and I owe you 4, so I owe you $7. Here, no sine, sine. There's a plus here that you don't see, so that's I have 7, I owe you 12, so I owe you 5. Here, oh, we have a sine, sine. So before we go anywhere, I'm going to take care of that sine, sine. The double sign, they're both negative, so they're the same, so they change to a positive. Both of them change to one sign. Now let's go through it. Okay, from left to right, we're going to go 10 minus 3. That's just 7. 7 plus 12 is 19. Even if you went, because I know you're getting used to this, I have 10, I owe you 3. If I have 10, I owe you 3, you still have 7. 7 plus 12 is 19. So that takes care of that. All right, let's take a look at the rest of them. There are a couple left. Number 4. See if we can get them all up here at once. Number 4 says negative 10 plus negative 6 minus 9 plus 4. 5. It's not going to happen. Okay. I'll get that next one up in a minute. All right, let's take a look at this one, number 4. See if there's any sine, signs. Right here, sine, sine. So we're multiplying here, right here. The signs are different, so it's a negative 6 minus 9 plus 4. So now let's just go left to right. Addition and subtraction left to right, order of operations. Okay, I owe you 10, I owe you 6, so I owe you 16. Okay, starting from the left again, I owe you 16, I owe you 9, I owe you 25, plus 4. Finally, I owe you 25, but I have 4, so I owe you 21. Done. Okay, here we go. Next problem. Again, if you wanted this have and owe, I have 3, I owe you 2, so I have 1. I have 1, I owe you 8, so I owe you 7, because there was no sign there. Next one, if you remember from order of operations, before this, we have to do parentheses first. I have 3, I owe you 4, so I owe you 1. Now we have this sign. The signs are the same, so we get a positive. 8 plus 1 is 9. All right, let's look at the last one, number 7. Number 7 says negative the quantity 4 minus 6. Order of operations, remember, says parentheses first if there's an operation inside, and there is. So now I do the parentheses. I'm not doing a multiplication step, so I have to leave my parentheses in there. I have 4, I owe you 6, so I owe you 2. Now, there's 100 ways we can think of this, because we know this is the opposite of negative 2, which is 2. Or we know it's sign, and the signs are the same, so it's a positive. So either way, we get positive 2, and that's 7. Okay, let's look at the next couple of absolute value problems. Okay, here we go. Let's try these. Because now we're going to bring back absolute value, because now we understand how to subtract integers. So number 1, be very careful about. That looks terrible. I'm going to try that again, otherwise you're going to get confused. My symbols aren't big enough. Negative 6 minus negative 4. 2. Okay, notice these are different. Notice these are 2 different absolute values with a minus in between. This is one absolute value. Absolute value is a grouping symbol just like parentheses, but there's some rules we're going to live with. Okay, the first rule is never take off the absolute value until there's one number inside, and always bring the symbol in front of the absolute value down. So here we go. There's one number inside here, so I just take the absolute value. The absolute value of negative 6 is 6. Bring any symbol in front of the absolute value down. The absolute value of negative 4 is 4. That's just 6 minus 4, or 2. Okay, here, there's 2 numbers inside, so I can't take off the absolute value yet. I have to do the problem inside, just like if it was a parentheses. It's a grouping symbol, just like a parentheses. So in order of operations, if you have an absolute value, it's the same thing as a parentheses. 10 minus 12. I have 10. I owe you 12, so I owe you 2. And the absolute value of negative 2 is 2. So I couldn't take off the absolute value here because there was 2 numbers. Okay? But here there was 1. I could take off the absolute value. So once we learn how to subtract, we'll be able to now multiply, divide, add, subtract, do all the operations, and do some order of operations with subtractions, which is our next topic.